everyone, I welcome you all to the Tech Stories Angular demo session. So in this session we'll learn what is Angular, what are prerequisites that is required to learn Angular, and we'll see what is the difference between framework and library, about components, directives, etc. So let's get started. So let's understand what is Angular. Angular is basically a TypeScript based framework which is required to build a single page application. Let's split this sentence and let's understand what is TypeScript, what is framework, and what is the single page application. So let's understand about TypeScript. TypeScript is basically a superset of JavaScript. That means it is just an extended version of a JavaScript, and it is not directly supported by the browser. It needs a compiler or transpiler which transpiles TypeScript into a JavaScript, and then that JavaScript is supported by the browser. So TypeScript is actually a type safe. That means it supports data types. That is why we are using TypeScript, because it is good to develop a complex application using TypeScript, because we do have data type support here in TypeScript and it is a strict typed language. Now let's understand about framework. A lot of people having a confusion between framework and a library. So let's understand what is framework and then we'll compare framework and a library. Now let's understand what is framework. So framework here, it means it has every library which is enough for building a application. Let's compare Angular with React, because now I'm going to explain you about a framework and a library. So I will take Angular, which is a framework, and React, which is a library. So let's understand the difference between Angular and React, and also you can compare framework and a library. Angular uses a two-directional data flow process, wherein React uses a one-directional data flow. Angular updates a real DOM, where React updates a virtual DOM. That is how React makes the application faster, because it knows where to update and what to update. So as I said, framework means it has every library, it has everything built in. Let's say Angular has a directive, Angular has a services, Angular has forms, which is enough for building an application. When it comes to React, it is just a library. So if you need something, let's say if you want forms, then you can install that library and you can implement the forms. Like we do have Formic, which is best for forms. Now let's understand about single page application. Single page application means without reloading a page, it is updating a content. So that means only one HTML file is going to render on the browser, and from there it is displaying many other UI components. So that means in a single page application, only one single HTML file is going to render on the browser, and without reloading a page, it is updating a content. So let me give you an example about a single page application. So I'll take you to angular.io, which is an official site of Angular. So you can see when I click on these menus, here it won't reload. It will just update the content without reloading. So see what happens when I click on these features. It is updating a content without reloading a page. When I click on docs, it is updating a content. When I click on resources, again it is updating a content without reloading a page. In multi-page application, it will reload, it refreshes a page, right? So that means you're navigating from one page to another page. Here we are having only one single page. Based on the user request, we are routing to that particular component. So you can see when I click on this particular menu, it is updating a content and it is super fast. So that is called as a single page application. Now let's understand the different versions of Angular. So you guys might be having a doubt. Let's say if I want to learn Angular, then I have to go through all the versions of Angular. No, it is incorrect. You can learn the latest version of Angular. You don't need to learn all the versions of Angular. And some people will have a doubt that they have to learn Angular from Angular version 5. So no, again this is incorrect. You can learn the latest version of Angular. That is enough for building an application. So we do have a lot of versions. So I'll just compare angular.js and Angular. So when it comes to angular.js version 1, it is totally a JavaScript based. When it comes to Angular 2, and higher versions, we are using TypeScript, and it is completely rewritten. So if you compare AngularJS and Angular, then you will feel like that you are learning two different technologies. So that is the reason, when you start with the two different technologies. So from Angular 2 and higher versions, we just say that it is Angular. So if somebody is asking you that are you a Angular JS developer or a Angular developer, when they say Angular JS, they are pointing to Angular 1. And when they say Angular, then that means it can be any version, but of course it is from Angular 2 and higher version. You can learn the latest version of Angular, that is Angular 10, which is just recently released, or you can learn the Angular 9, which is the stable one, because Angular 10, I don't think so it is stable yet. So you can go ahead and learn Angular 9. So let's understand the advantages of using the single page application. So I'll just quickly say the advantages, that it is much improved experience for a user, because everything is updating within a fraction of second, so we don't need to wait for the page to reload, right? So that is one of the good advantage. And the other advantage that you can say is that the application will be faster, as entire page is not loading, only partial update is happening. So now let's understand the prerequisites of Angular. So to learn Angular, you must know advanced JavaScript, in the sense you can learn ES6, which is ECMAScript 2015. So in this ES6, you can go through object destructuring, rest and spread operators, arrow functions, let and const keywords, and promises. So these are all the topics which is actually required to learn Angular. So anyways, if you don't have any knowledge on ECMAScript will be covered in this course. Okay. And also TypeScript knowledge is required to learn Angular. So TypeScript is also a prerequisite of Angular.